Welcome back to 411. I'm Alexis.
I'm Arricka.
And today we are going to be talking about this right here.
It's my book Inferno. It'll be out on March 4th, but it is out for pre-order on Books A Million, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble.
Do you want to go ahead and just kind of like explain a little bit about the book?
Okay, yeah.
Without too much spoilers.
Yeah, don't want to give out spoilers out. So it is a fantasy fiction. It is about a werewolf princess who is on the run after being framed for her aunt's murder. Lots of twists and turns and a little surprise at the end. So if you're into fantasy fiction, or if you've ever read anything like House of Night or like A Court of Thorns and Roses, then this will be a really good book for you to read.
And so the main character, her name is Soraya.
Yes, Soraya.
So with any of the characters that you have in here, was there any real life inspiration to them, like family, friends?
Yeah. So Soraya is kind of me. Just kind of what I would want myself to be if I was a supernatural creature, because the book really came about, one, just because I really, really enjoy writing. I used to write poetry when I was younger, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. And then I also do photography, and I was looking to do something with fantasy, and I was looking up for pictures with black fantasy women, and I couldn't find any photos for them. There's not that big of a, I don't know what's the right word for it, but when you look up fantasy, you can see a lot of white women and Hispanic women. We're not represented. With this book, that we're represented. And so Soraya, Kai, Alec, and Maven are all based off of, well, inspired by some of my friends and family and just people that I've met throughout my life.
So what is it specifically about the sci-fi genre that made you choose to write about it?
I have always just loved sci-fi and fantasy. When I was in the 3rd grade, I used to get in trouble a lot. And our principal at the time wasn't there, so I get sent to the library. And the librarian was this older black woman, and she just kind of reminded me of my grandma. And whenever I had to go there, I'd have to go pick out a book, and I'd have to sit in the corner and I'd have to read it. And at first I was kind of like, I don't want to read no book. Like, just want to chill. But then I found like the Bailey School Kids. That was one of the first books that I read. And I read all of them, I think that day, 'cause they're really small books. And it just kind of like sparked that love of books for me. And then I just kept reading and reading. And I would get in trouble on purpose. So I could go to the library and she'd give me like little chocolates and I'd read a book. Eventually I got into the Harry Potter books, and it just kind of, it expanded from there. So I really appreciate it. I don't remember what her name was. I think it might have been Mrs. Williams. But she really pushed for me to read. And I actually got to like the Battle of the Books when I was in middle school, because I was reading at a higher reading level, because I was obsessed. Anything to do with like leprechauns, werewolves, princesses, things like that, I just was obsessed with. And I would read books all day, every day. Like my parents would get so upset that I wouldn't go outside with my siblings, because no one wants to be outside. It's hot. It's Florida. It sucks. But I would like literally hide in my room with books. I'd hide under my bed or in my closet, and they would have to force me to go outside.
So what are the plans? Because this is book 1.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly are the plans for the rest of the series?
So the plans for the series is going to be a trilogy, as my hope. I don't want to give away the titles just yet, but there is at least 2 more books coming behind this one. And there may be a couple little spin-offs, but I do want to eventually branch out and just have like a whole big series, even if it's not specifically just with Inferno anymore, and just kind of just keep writing. My goal is to kind of have like a lot of books out over the next couple of years.
And obviously you kind of said a little bit before, but you don't just write, you also do photography, and you do a little bit of baking.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain?
So with photography, I kind of do a little bit of whatever I kind of feel like. I will do just like senior portraits, or I will do maternity or boudoir, just kind of whatever I get a feel for, just because I like photography. I got that kind of from my Aunt Mimi. Her and my mom, they would always take us to the parks as we were younger and just do these big photo shoots with me and all my cousins, and I kind of like being like the center of attention a little bit, but there was like 20 of us, so I really couldn't be the center of attention too much. But that kind of sparked that love. And then baking is something I just recently picked up. just because for my cousin's wedding, I wanted to make a treat table for the bachelorette party, and I wanted to order treats because it looked kind of hard. And my sister was like, no, we can make them. So I started watching YouTube videos and kind of saw how easy it was. Although it's really not that easy. It's easy to make them. It's really hard to make them look pretty, and it's really difficult. And I just kind of got interested in it. So I don't like do it for like business. I kind of just do it for pleasure. Like I just like it. It's something to do.
And what kind of kicked you into gear to actually sit down and write?
So I started writing Inferno initially when I was about 12 or 13. And I wrote it on my family's computer, and I'm going to show my age here in a second. I had it saved to a floppy disk, and I wound up losing it. And like the computer broke down, so I couldn't even get it off of there, and it just kind of like really stopped me from writing. I just kind of got in a rut. And then my grandfather had passed, so I would kind of like focus more on poetry because I was writing like poetry for his obituary, and just kept pushing it back and pushing it back. And then Lexi was telling me about the book that she was writing, and it kind of just inspired me a little bit more to kind of sit down and think about it. And the more I read your story, the more I kind of was like, okay, I really need to finish Inferno because like it's something that, you know, I've always wanted to do, and I just keep pushing it off. And like the more I read your story, the more I just kind of got to it. And then I watched an interview with Michael B. Jordan, and he was just talking about his work ethic and just chasing your dreams, not letting it kind of like move past you. So between those two things, it got me to actually sit down and finish writing, and that's actually why both you and Michael B. Jordan are in the dedication acknowledgments, and I hope one day he'll be able to see it. Still love him.
If you're out there, Michael B. Jordan, she has a book with your name in it.
I also have a nightlight with his face on it, but that's weird, so never mind. But I do have a nightlight with his face on it. It's awesome.
What is the hardest thing you learned with writing books?
The hardest thing I learned was knowing when to stop. Just because I didn't want my book to be too short, but I also didn't want to give it all away in just one book. So knowing how to hit all the right points, but still be able to leave the readers wanting more was something that I really had to learn.
Anything else?
Editing. Editing sucks. If you can get an editor to do it, because it's not fun.
So besides the Inferno series, is there anything else you plan to write?
There are some things that I would want to write, but I haven't like settled on anything yet, just because I really want to get Inferno and the other books out before I start writing anything else, because I have really bad ADHD. If I start something else, I may not finish this one.
And so what exactly are your goals with it? Are you just doing it just right, or do you feel like you have an actual future being a full-time author?
When I started out, I really just wanted to kind of get my writing out there. Like I wasn't planning on like putting it out there for like to publish it. I was gonna just put it on Wattpad. But the more I wrote, the more I just kind of pictured myself being able to do like book tours and things like that. And like I've told you, like as long as one person who isn't related to me buy my book, I'll be happy. So that's kind of what the goal. But I enjoy it so much. Writing has always been something that I really, really enjoy, that I could see myself becoming like a full-time author in the future. But who knows where it'll take me.
So with the book, do you feel like an actual connection with them, with your characters?
Yes I do. Like when I was writing it, actually there's certain parts where like, even though I'm the one writing it, like I get mad at my characters for like doing certain things or saying certain things, and I'm like, like with Kai. Kai is Soraya's ex in the book, and like some of the things that he does and says like really trigger me, and I have to remind myself that like I'm the one writing this, so I can't get too upset. So I get really attached to them.
And do you just kind of want to give like an introduction to each main character?
Okay, so the story follows Soraya and her two friends, Alexander and Maven. Maven is a vampire and Alexander is a witch. They're all pretty strong. And then Kai is Soraya's ex-fiance, and he happens to also be one of the people who are trying to hunt her down.
And he's a part of the Royal Guard.
Yes, he is part of the Royal Guard, which is kind of an important part, so I don't want to give too much away on that. But yeah, it's a really big issue with Soraya and him, which is why he's an ex-fiance.
And was it important for you to not really putting love on the back burner of it, but making it focus more on action?
Yes. I love a good romance book, just like anybody else, but I love a badass femme fatale even more. And that's one thing that you don't really see too often, but one of my favorite movies is the Underworld series, just because Sonya and Celine, I think Celine's in Rise of the Lycans, but both of them were like, even though they had love interests, they were kick-ass. They were like pretty much the female Blade. And so it was really important for my character, even though I wanted her to have love, and there's some romance in it, I still wanted to show that women aren't just, what's the word for, like a damsel in distress, that we can actually kick ass and take names to.
And with like the whole sci-fi and paranormal, with it, did you do it like a different spin on like the regular like mythology rules that they go on?
Yes. So you'll see when you actually read it, even though it's witches, vampires, and werewolves, they are a little bit different in certain aspects with how they're created from your traditional mythical creatures.
Was that important to not like change how they are, but kind of do a different stance with it?
Yeah, because I didn't want to do the same old, burn in sunlight or be glittery in sunlight. I love Twilight, but I freaking hate that portion of it. So it was important for me to kind of like be a little bit different and stand out in a way. And it also opens up more possibilities for me to do other things with the characters because of how they were created and whatnot.
And did you have any books that you were either reading at the time or you've already read that you kind of like found something in there that kind of like implanted in there?
So yeah, some of the books that inspired me, like I mentioned before, House of Night, I absolutely love that series. Vampire Diaries, the book series, is completely different from the TV series, which is one thing that kind of inspired me. Like if you've ever read the books and seen a TV series, they're completely different. And then another one that I kind of helped inspire me, some of the original books that I read would be Vampire Academy, and that's by Rochelle Mead, and then Thirst by Christopher Pike. That was where I really got the start of like just a badass vampire like woman, because his main character, Alyssa, or I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I think it's Alyssa, she is such a badass, and that whole series is just really amazing. And again, there's love in there, but like she is still like, she fought a whole entire army on her own. She dodged a Gatling gun, like she was badass, and that kind of really helped me to put things into focus when it came to Soraya and how I wanted her portrayed.
So let's say your book takes off, and we all hope that it does.
It will.
Movie or TV show?
TV show, specifically Netflix, because they do a really good job. One thing that would be important to me though, which is why I'm self-publishing instead of trying to do traditional publishing, is one thing I realized is no one can tell my story the way that I can. And I want to be able to maintain creative control when it comes to my story, because I don't want it to be whitewashed like a lot of things in Hollywood kind of tend to be. And I definitely want to make sure it stays true to the book, because one thing I hate is reading a really amazing book and then seeing it turn into a trashy movie or TV show. Like, no offense to them, but Vampire Diaries, or not Vampire Diaries, but Vampire Academy, the movie was awful. Really awful. And then Beautiful Creatures, I love this trilogy. That movie was absolutely fucking terrible.
Yeah, that's how I feel about a lot of books. Because before, I remember like we used to, like there's Pretty Little Liars and like even Twilight, and when like we went to go watch the Twilight movies, because I've never read the series, but you would always comment about how
things were different,
or Pretty Little Liars, and you would tell me about the different things going on in the book. And then so once I actually like read books that were either turned into movies or into shows, and then now I understand how you feel, but I'm just like, that ain't it.
And I think Harry Potter is probably one of the only book series where I think, even though there are some big differences, they aren't as bad in a way. Like, Harry Potter is still a really amazing series, even though there are different things in the book that I wish they would have shown or wish that they didn't show. I mean, the same thing with Vampire Diaries TV show. Like, even though it didn't follow the book like at all, except for maybe the name of some of the characters, it still was a really good standalone on its own. Especially with the originals, like Klaus in the book is different from Klaus in the TV show. I hated Klaus in the book. He was such a terrible fucking person. And I guess Klaus in the show is kind of terrible, but yeah, I don't know. He's kind of hot too, so it's kind of...
Yeah, like I was watching, so I have this book, it's called One of Us is Lying, and it recently turned into a TV show. And so I was like, I don't really know, I'm gonna watch it. And so I watched it, and I was waiting because like the ending is like this great ending in the book, and it's like amazing. And then it happened in the show, and they completely changed the ending of it. And then there's like a second book to it, because One of Us is next, which in the second book, her little sister is now the main character. But instead of doing that, they made the plot of the second book a series to the first book. So it's just kind of like changing the entire story for no reason.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
I hate that. That's why if someone does want to pick up Inferno, that's something that's very important to me, is to make sure I can still have my hand in it. Because I don't want them changing anything around, and I will be damned if someone goes and sees my show and they're like, oh my god, the book is so much better. Like, I want it to be just as good, if not better than the book.
Yeah, that's why I like TV shows more, because even though movies probably hit more people sometimes, it's just harder to put 100% of the details in like a 2-hour movie versus a show that can be 30 minutes to an hour weekly.
And we're not doing Lord of the Rings shit. Like, I don't like 4-hour movies. Like, I will fall asleep, so no. That's why I like a TV show, like the 30 minutes to an hour, and I'd rather be at long running, like how animes are, because, bro, I will never watch Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry. Never.
What books are you reading right now?
So I just bought Legendborn from another woman of color. I'm really excited to get started reading that one. I have Night House. I got that one a few months ago, but I haven't read it just because I've been working on Inferno. So that's one, and then I've been reading the Tracy Wolf series. I can't wait for the next one to come out. So my goal for next year actually is I want to read 100 books. So I'm going to be off of social media unless it has something to do with Inferno or like promoting any of that. Because in my free time, if I'm not writing the second book or doing whatever with Inferno, I want to be able to read. So starting January 1st, my goal is to have 100 books read.
So like this is kind of off topic with your book, but what TV shows are you watching?
I watch a lot of anime. So right now, my boyfriend, he got me into watching Baki Hanma. And it's an anime on Netflix, and I like it, but it's really, really weird. Like, it's not the same genre of anime that I'm used to watching. But pretty much Baki is a young man, and he's like super strong, and his dad is like the strongest man in the world. And these guys come to try and like fight him to test his powers. And they're all psychopaths. They were all like on death row. They like break out of death row just to come fight Baki. And it's just, it's really weird. And then I'm watching Yashahime, which is the spin-off of Inuyasha, because I love Inuyasha. I love Shomaru, that's baby dad right there. So I'm watching that one, and then Demon Slayer. Oh my god, Demon Slayer. Woo! Second season's out.
Have you ever watched Cowboy Bebop?
No, but I heard they canceled that show.
Is
it Cowboy Bebop? Or something? Someone with a Bebop in it.
But I just seen it on Netflix. I think it is. They turned into a live adaptation. Like, so Cowboy Bebop is like an old anime. I haven't watched it, but Chris has. And it's like this, supposedly like this really, really good anime. And so, the last time that Netflix did one, which was for Death Note, it was horrible.
Yeah, Death Note's horrible.
Like the live adaptation.
Yeah, it's
horrible.
Horrible. And all the Dragon Ball Z's, every single last one of them, from Dragon Ball to Z, all those movies are freaking trash. Haven't watched Avatar yet, but I'm pretty sure that's trash too.
The movie?
Yeah.
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 horrible.
I've never heard anything good about Avatar the movie ever.
Yeah, they literally changed the entire thing. It was...
And I think they're getting ready to do Attack on Titan as live action, and I wish they wouldn't. Just don't. Animes don't need to be live action. They're perfect the way they are.
I agree. What about cosplaying?
I don't really cosplay too much. I wanted to get into it, but like I'm not really like designery, so I don't really like to make outfits. And some of them copy outfits are expensive as hell, so I don't want to buy them either. But I do want to go to Comic-Con. I really want to go to the one that's in San Diego, and then there's one also in Tampa that I want to go to in St. Pete. But I did dress up as Itachi for Halloween though, so yeah, I'll be Itachi.
Do you want to tell me who that is in case?
Itachi is a protagonist in Naruto. He is the older brother of Sasuke, who sucks as a person, just saying. I hate Sasuke. I really don't like Naruto either, but I mean, he's the main character. But yeah, so his story is actually a really good one because he's looked at as a bad guy, but like once you find out everything about it, it kind of changes your mind on him. But I liked it mostly because my brothers, they were really into Naruto, so like I don't want to spoil it if you haven't watched it, but they don't let me come around for family dinners at Itachi.
The one anime that I probably won't watch, even though I know it's good, is One Piece.
Yeah.
Because like, it has like 50 million episodes.
Yeah. Manuel, that's my brother, he is a really big One Piece fan. Like he's getting ready to get the Luffy tattoo on his hand. I've watched like 10 episodes of One Piece and it's too slow for me. And knowing that there's like 100 more to go, it just And I've watched long animes like Naruto. Watching Naruto from Naruto to Shippuden is well, if you cut the fillers out, it's almost 500 something episodes. And I don't mind watching that because it picks up. But One Piece is like, oh, once you get to like episode 200, it starts getting, and they're like, I don't want to watch 200 episodes to finally kind of get an understanding of anything. So no, thank you.
Do you plan on getting any more anime tattoos?
Yes. So right now I have Lord Beerus, Vegeta, the Dragon Balls, and Shenron. I'm going to get that colored in. And then I plan on getting some anime tattoos from Naruto, Hunter x Hunter. I'm going to get Killua doing the rhythm echo on my leg. I love Killua. And then I'm going to get some Sharingan because I love Madara and Itachi. And just different things. Like I hopefully to have two anime half sleeves and me something on my leg.
Do you ever just kind of like sit back and wonder, like, like, you know how, what's her name, Stephanie Myers?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you wonder, like, how that would be if, like, your book just, like, was, like, amazing and, like, now you're on that level?
I have wondered that, and it's so scary because, like, I want people to like my book and I want people to read it and I want to touch as many people as I can. But the idea that I'd have such a large fan base and people who are actually like looking up to me and expecting things from me is just, it's a lot. I don't know how I'd be able to handle it because I would always say I want to be rich and not necessarily famous. I don't have my life to be under a microscope, but at the same time, like it would be pretty awesome to have like such a well-known book and brand that Stephanie Meyer does.
And it's just like people now feel connected with the characters and want to dress like them, feel like...
Yeah.
Because when you watch TV, like, you feel that connection with them. When you're reading a book, you're able to kind of like just imagine it yourself and it just actually feels like you're in the book.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love, specifically about fantasy, because literally you can just escape to whatever reality they are in. That's one of the real things, like especially the House of Night series. That's one of the ones I read while I was in high school. Like I would literally read them, and it would be almost like I'm that extra friend of Zoe Redbird that's just not in the books, and I'm like watching them go through and do stuff, and it just you get lost in it, and that's just one of my favorite things because in nonfiction stuff, you're reading someone else's story, and it's usually like an autobiography, something like that. You can't really get lost in that. It's usually educational. With fiction, no matter what kind of fiction it is, you can literally just insert yourself into that. And it's just really nice to have like a whole fantasy. Like I used to literally want an owl to show up and tell me that I'm a wizard and that I'm gonna get to go to London and be part of Hogwarts, and stuff like that. So
yeah, like I'm like the type of person, like reader, that especially if it's like in a good part of the book, like just don't talk to me.
Oh
don't
yeah.
talk to me.
I used to feel bad because like I like to go out to eat and I would bring a book and I would want like a booth and like I'd be like trying to read my book and they would like be trying to like wait on me like after I ordered my food and I'm like, no, I'm good, like let me read. But they were always pretty good about it and they're like, you know, try to interrupt me as least as they could.
Yeah, because like once you're in it, it's just like, especially if you're a fast reader, like you don't want to be interrupted.
Yeah.
At all.
Like I read the whole Twilight series, so I didn't get into Twilight until the movies were coming out, and the movie was looking like it was going to be a good movie. So I started reading the books, and I read Twilight through Breaking Dawn, or actually no, Breaking Dawn wasn't out yet. I read Twilight through Eclipse in 1 week at school, so that I could be ready for when Twilight the movie came out. And then when Breaking Dawn came out, it's actually Breaking Dawn in both in Harry Potter and I think it was Deathly Hallows. My mom actually took me to the bookstores. Actually, for Deathly Hallows, we waited outside of Walmart. It was like in December or something when it came out. It was cold for Florida anyways, and we waited for hours to get that book. And the same thing I did with Deathly Hallows, or not Deathly Hallows, but Breaking Dawn.
Yeah, so like even though I'm like nowhere near done with my book, it's just like that feeling, like that surreal feeling that if you're, well, not if, when your book takes off, it's like what you were doing for somebody else's book, like people are going to be doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, I would love to see people wearing like merchandise from Inferno, or you know, talking about like character art getting done and just kind of wanting to be able to be the characters and kind of connect with them. That would be really awesome. But the only thing that I wouldn't want with it is something that I've seen like with some of the animes I watch is sometimes the fans get a little over invested, and when certain things happen, like they go from loving you to hating you, and then you get targeted online. That's the kind of person I worry about more so. Like I don't mind people, you know, loving me and all that kind of stuff, but when people start to have opinions, which they will, that's the part I don't really care to have to deal with.
Yeah, like the Crave series, like especially reading it as I'm writing my own book, and it's like I've seen, because you know in her second book how like with Hudson and everything, like I read the reviews on Goodreads, and like people were just like upset about it because of like love triangle thing, and it's just, they're like, oh, it was good the first book when it was just blah blah blah, and now you're doing this, I can't read it no more.
Oh my
like,
god, yeah, like get
don't
off your
read
fucking
it.
horse. That same thing happened. So like I'm watching Demon Slayer, and at the end of one of the episodes of the new season, in the little credits, he's not a main character, but he's part of the series, is showing him and his 3 wives. And people are in an uproar about it because they're showing polygamy in an anime, but like in the beginning of the series, like children are murdered, and like you guys are okay with like kids dying, but a man having 3 wives, that's too much for an anime. And there's like animes that are called like harem animes, where it's like all like weird shit like that, and just super sexual. And so I'm like, you guys are okay with harem and all that kind of stuff, but oh, okay, he gets 3 wives that he legally married because he loves something about each and every one of them. That's too far.
Yeah, and there's like this ongoing meme, I'm sure you've seen it, where like the character dies in the book and like the reader's like distraught, and like the author is just like, you know, rubbing their hands together.
Yeah.
So did you get that feeling?
I did. And not necessarily in Inferno, but there'll be some twists and turns in the other books that had me doing my little Birdman thing too. So, but did you know, like in Dragon Ball, like Goku was supposed to stay dead the first time, but the fanboys went crazy. That's why he kept bringing him back. He should have stayed dead. Goku sucks.
Yeah, you know, it's not okay. I don't hate Goku, but it's just like, bruh, Vegeta, like,
and not even just Vegeta, because I love Vegeta, but like Gohan had so much potential,
and they destroyed
it because everyone wants Goku. Goku to me is like Superman of the Justice League. Everyone relies on him far too much, so no one wants to get better because they'll just wait around and get their ass beat until Superman comes. Same thing with Dragon Ball Z. Like they'll throw Krillin to the wolves, and all of them will like fight until Goku can get there, and then all of a sudden Goku's the best, and he's just and it's just kind of like give someone else a turn. Like don't get me wrong, I did like Goku when I first started watching it, back when I was younger. But the older I got, and I'm just seeing like they're not progressing. Like Vegeta should have had more of like, not saying that he had to be stronger than Goku, but I feel like it should at least be on par, but they always have Vegeta just being second, and then they completely destroyed Gohan.
That's why I hated freaking GT, because like it's not canon.
Yeah.
And so like, what was the point of having Vegeta go Super Saiyan 4 if it doesn't even matter?
Yeah. And then now Goku is doing like god form Rose or some shit or something, and now they're saying that he's supposed to get some kind of even better power with Xeno and whatnot, and it's like, how much more can Goku do? Like, I feel like Goku has done enough to where he should be able to just go off and farm, do whatever he wants to do, train, and allow some of the other characters to grow and stuff as well. Even if you have like do like a whole spin-off, not on Krillin fucking left, or Yamcha, like neither one of them should get a spin-off, but definitely Vegeta or Gohan or Trunks, like they all had so much potential and they just kind of just destroyed it because everyone loves Goku. And also, I'm gonna put out there, Sailor Moon can be Goku. Fight me.
With books and their death and people connecting to their characters, have you cried?
Yes. In Harry Potter, I cried when Dumbledore died. I was so angry. Like, if I could go into a book and beat someone's ass, like, Draco would have got it, Snape would have got it. But then Snape died, and I cried about that too, once you kind of forgot he wasn't actually the bad guy. I cried when Sirius Black died. Even though the person who killed him, I also really love. I love Bellatrix. She's fucking crazy. I love the woman who plays her. What the hell is her name? Helena Bonham Carter. She is the wife of he did Night Before Christmas. What's his name? Tim something. Damn, I can't think of it. But he did Night Before Christmas. And they're both really great. I love them whenever they do anything with Johnny Depp. Because the three of them together, Tim Burton, that's his name. The three of them together just make magic.
Yeah, cause there's this book that I read, or not, I don't know what her name is, but she was a Wattpad writer, and now her books are published, and she never makes a sequel to any of her books. So when something bad happens to a book, that's just it. And so every time that I read her books, I get so mad at her because like I want it to turn out good, but I know it never will because she's not gonna write anything.
Oh, maybe I should do that. I hate cliffhangers. I love and hate cliffhangers, especially when like this next book's not written yet, because I hate having to wait. That's the hardest part of like reading, or even like watching like animes with their TV shows. When you binge them off of Netflix and then you realize like the next one's not coming out for a year, you have so many questions.
Yeah. I literally fell asleep when I was writing these questions. But with your book, you said there's 3 parts.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you, or does this not know about your the standalone things?
Oh no, it's not a secret.
Oh, okay. So you want to tell me about that?
Yeah. So with Inferno, so I have plans for it to be a trilogy. It may be longer. I don't know yet, but I know for sure for 3. But there's also going to be at least 1 or 2 standalone books that I kind of want to touch on some of the parts, like without getting too much into it. Like there are some goddesses who are important within the series, but I also wanted to give you like a little prequel to kind of see how everything started. Like you'll get like a little bit of a background when you read Inferno, but I wanted to expand on that. And then I also there's some characters who, so when I write, it's kind of like, I don't do like an actual like outline. Like I know like what I want my chapters to be about, and then I just write. And it's almost like I'm sitting in the room with the characters and they're each telling me their story. So there are some characters that came up in Inferno who, even though they're side characters right now, I already know. They've already told me different parts of what happened in their lives that are going to affect other parts of the next series. And like one character in particular, like I really feel like his story is important to be told on his own. So he may get his own standalone either series or standalone book. And then just different points of view from some of the other characters, especially Kai. I definitely know that Kai, he wants his side of Inferno to be kind of told of, you know, what happened with him and Sarai and in the Royal Guard and all that kind of stuff. So stuff like that. Like my characters, like as crazy as it sounds, like they talk to me. So you know, I'm just the medium from them to get their stories out.
And I know I don't do this, but I know some people like when they're, how do they determine to like if a book is good enough for them to read? I know some people like to read the end of the book and then that's it, and they're like, okay, maybe I should read it. For me, I have to have like a good summary synopsis on the back.
Oh yeah.
Because like if the synopsis doesn't seem like remotely interesting at all, like I just, even if everybody likes the book, I just can't do it because it's like, you can't describe it well to me. Then
that's the same way I am. I look at the cover art and I look at the synopsis. If one of them isn't that great, but the other one is, I'll probably still read it. But if both of them are bad, I won't. And then the synopsis usually is the selling point for me, because you could have like maybe not so great cover, but a really good synopsis. Or you get like a really bad synopsis, but a really good cover. I might be interested at least maybe like read like a chapter or two to kind of see. But really, if your synopsis isn't drawing me in, I can't do it. Like Three Dark Crowns, I love that series from Kendari Blake. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. Literally, I just happened to be scrolling through Amazon one day.
Have you reading?
Yes. Scrolling through Amazon one day, and it caught my eye, and I read the back of it, and I was like, ooh, triplets, fight to the death, yes. And it just really drew me in, like, and just the way it was worded. So that was something that was important to me too when I was writing my synopsis. I wanted to make sure it really drew you in and made you want to read it.
Now, so Soraya is like you?
Yeah, in a way.
So, for me, I'm always kind of like the person that secretly roots for the bad guys, because I feel like, I always feel bad for them. I kind of like one time just win. But how are you with yours? Is it just Soraya?
So I am also someone who kind of roots for the bad guys as well. Like I mentioned, Vampire Diaries. I love Klaus. Like I know he murdered thousands of people and he's kind of a dick, but I just want him to win. And that was something that I was thinking about possibly doing. Like you'll learn kind of about Soraya's parents, whatever, and their input of whatever. And so like the main villain in the story, I was thinking about them, and I was talking to my friend Kate, and I was saying like I could maybe want to do like a backstory on the villain to make it maybe more relatable, and she was just like, no. She's like, this is what's wrong with you guys. You always want the bad guy to be relatable, even though like they're terrible, terrible people. And she's right. So I don't know if like I haven't really talked that much to the villain just yet. I don't want to say who it is or what it is yet because it's a big plot twist. But they haven't really talked to me too much yet, so I don't know if they are going to have any redeeming qualities just yet. But don't be surprised.
Yeah, because I know people were kind of like, well, from what I've seen, some people are a little upset about the Cruella story because they were like, oh, you're trying to give like, a sympathy thing to this villain, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, every villain has a story, it's just the way you get introduced to the villain is not their story, so you just see them as this horrible person.
Yeah, some of the best villains have and when I say the worst backstory, I don't mean like the actual backstories work, but they have like a bad upbringing. They have a reason why, even though their actions may not be, what they're doing may not be good, they had a reason why, of what got them there. Like back with Klaus. Klaus, when he first brought into it, he's just the big bad wolf. But then you go back and see like how Michael treated him and his mom, and he just was so outcast. You don't condone it, but you understand it. Like I get why Klaus did a lot of the things that he did. I don't agree with all the things that he did, or with Catherine in Vampire Diaries. I can't say that if someone murdered my entire family out of spite, that I would be a good person after that. So although even though some of the shit that she did was awful, like once you realize why, and that's what's important to me as well, is to make sure you understand not only what they're doing, but their why. Although the villain in this one, I don't think just yet that their why is like redeemable. I think their why is just because they're a raging psychopath. So we'll see.
So with me, like when I'm writing, a lot of times like I don't know exactly what I'm writing until I just start writing, and then it all just starts making sense to me as I'm writing it. Do you just like come up with what you want for that chapter, or is it just like I like to reread my last chapters to kind of get something and then just start writing, or do you already know?
So what I'll do is, like I don't do like a traditional outline of it just because I just don't like to, but what I'll do is like with Inferno, I knew the beginning and I knew the end, and so I knew kind of how many chapters I kind of wanted. So what I did is I wrote down all the chapters, and then one by one I kind of figured out what I wanted each to be about and wrote like a general like little synopsis of it. Like I know I want X, Y, Z to happen in here. I just don't know exactly how it happens. So I sit down at my computer and I just kind of just start writing. Like I said, that the characters will kind of speak to me. They'll let me know what's going on, where they're at, how it happens, and then the next thing you know, it's 5,000 words in, I'm a couple chapters in, and this is what's happening. But like I have a general broad idea of where I want it to go, and then I just have the characters fill in the dots.
And with that, is it like you already have a character in mind, or as you're writing, the character just pops up?
Both. So Soraya, Maven, and Alec, and Charlotte, who's the queen who gets murdered, that's what starts the book off. I already knew them. We've already talked, we chatted, I knew it was going to be about them. But there's some characters that come up that they just kind of showed up one day. I was writing and I was like, okay, well, here comes, so-and-so. And this is how their story kind of connects into it. And literally it started out with just Charlotte and Soraya. And it went from just those two characters to like 50,000 words. And I think there's like 27 different characters just in this book. And some people have already popped up who have a big part in the other books as well. They're not talking just yet, but they're there. So like I know it's going to be bigger than what I thought about it when I first started it.
So do you have any like Easter eggs?
Yes. So within the prologue itself is a little bit of an Easter egg for some of the other things I'm working with. And then there's different things that are brought up in here but aren't necessarily fully explained because it leads into something bigger.
So do you like kind of like find joy in kind of like just sneaking something in there and hoping that someone catches onto it?
Yes, I do. I love the Easter egg that Disney does. Some of the movies, I don't know, I like it. So don't be surprised when you find different little things in here.
And are you into like fan theories? So like when someone reads your book and you haven't come out with the second one yet, are you into like reading what people think is gonna happen?
Yes, but also no to some fan fiction. Like I don't particularly, I feel about the One Direction fan fiction. I don't mind fan fiction. I don't mind people speculating what's gonna happen. But I also like, just from a person, like I hate when they take what an author has done with the character and then completely change it in like the worst way just because it's what their fantasy is. But I also understand that we all have different opinions and we see different things. But so if someone took Soraya or Kai or someone like that and changed it, like I wouldn't be like, whatever. But and I'd probably read to see what happens and maybe, get them inspiration. But for the most part, like I like my characters the way that they are. So.
Mm-hmm. So if someone just kind of like does like a side story of their own and just completely creates their own theory about, Soraya's gonna go into the next book and she's gonna kill everybody, blah blah blah. Are you gonna give it any attention or just kind of just?
I'll probably read it. That sounds kind of cool. but like I said, like I'm not gonna be like upset with anyone doing it. Like I said, the One Direction fanfics and like the Supernatural fanfics, I really hate them a lot. And even some of the anime ones, just because these people work so hard on these characters, and then you go and just change it. But also, it's not even just that you're changing it; it's like usually the stories aren't all that great. There's been some really good fanfics, though. Like I have to about After. I love After. The movies aren't. The movies aren't that great. I mean, I like them because Harden's kind of hot, and it's pretty much softcore porn with a little bit of plot around it. But the actual books were actually pretty good. So I'm not hating on all fanfic. It's just some of them are just truly just terrible. But if my fans of Inferno have different like things that they think are gonna happen, I'm interested in hearing what they think and seeing maybe you never know if someone actually figures something out. Who knows? Maybe they might get a surprise or something like that. I love that. Like I don't know if it was with Harry Potter or some book that I was reading. On Twitter, everyone was kind of guessing what was going to happen, and someone really did guess it, and they didn't, the author didn't say it right away, but then we read the book and then went back to it, and like, okay, this person actually guessed it right. And it's just really cool to kind of see if they can figure out where I'm going before I get there.
Yeah. And I know, like, people who start businesses, they kind of, like, worry, like, once it starts that they're not going to make nothing or anything like that. Do you have that feeling? I
did have that feeling a lot that, people weren't going to like my book, it's going to flop. But I had to realize, one of my biggest things I like to say is, what is meant for me in this world is already mine. So it's never it's just a win. So if, I put Inferno out, I believe it's going to do well. Not to say that it's going to do, massive movie deals, Michael B. Jordan's going to play Kai, anything like that. But in my heart, I know that if it's meant to do amazing like that, it will. If it's meant just to sell a couple 100,000 copies, it will. But whatever it's going to do, it's going to do. I can't. People are going to love it. People are going to hate it. Just like I hate some fan fictions. People love the same fan fiction. It's just all about opinion, and I am a little sensitive to my art, but at the same time, I have to have a tougher skin. Just because of, like, I looked up some of the reviews of some of my favorite books, and there's like thousands and thousands of 1-star, 2-star reviews. But then there's even more 3, 4, 5-star reviews. So it's just, it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's gonna be someone's shot of whiskey.
That's good. So let's say it does become a TV show, movie, whatever. I know that when, you know, like you read a book or I read a book and we like see, envision the characters in our head, like when it's described, we're able to kind of see it. And some people kind of like have their own theories, and so when it actually comes out, and like sometimes you like it doesn't match how you thought of it at all, and then sometimes it's just like spot on. So who do you envision? Do you just think of like kind of like a character description for them to visualize it as well of your characters?
That's good. 'Cause I actually have thought about that. That's one of the reasons why I said like I don't want to lose any of my creative rights. Like if this comes into like a Netflix show or something like that, I want to, like, I don't want to have to necessarily like be like the person like doing the casting, but I definitely want to have at least a final say, because I know how my characters are supposed to be and I want to make sure it's done right. So like I said, Soraya is kind of loosely based on me and how I look. Maven, when I was looking at Maven, I was really thinking about Lupita Nyong'o, because I just loved her in Black Panther. So that's kind of how I pictured Maven. And then Alec is also kind of from Black Panther 2. It'd be Winston Duke, just because he's hot and he's just big and strong, and just I love him. And then with Kai, it's funny because Kai is a little bit of a mixture of Michael B. Jordan and like Lil Wayne, because I love Lil Wayne. It's just like the whole like dreadhead kind of thing. I like kind of mixture of that. And also it's actually one of my friends, loosely kind of off of his looks too, because he's tall, muscular, and has dreads too, so it's kind of like that. But if it was a actual like person, I think for some of the characters like Rome Flynn, kind of like if him, but like I picture him older, would kind of be like Soraya's dad, kind of how like, has like that handsome kind of cute look, but also kind of be like, could be a little bit of a bad boy as well. And then for like some of the other characters, like I don't want to get too many into the characters, some ones that, you know, are a little bit of a surprise, but I do know that the Halle and Chloe, they definitely are kind of like a little bit of a maven for me. And also, what is her name? Not Justine Skye, but she's from Star. Destiny?
Oh.
Ryan Destiny.
Yeah.
Ryan Destiny is also kind of like how I would picture Maven to kind of look too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So, besides yourself, what star do you see for Soraya?
Ooh. A star for Soraya, let's see. I don't know who I want to play Soraya. They'd have to be like a baddie. You know what? I never really thought, because I would just say me. I'm not a good actress at all. Honestly, probably would be Halle. We're similar in like height, although she's kind of got a little bit more skinny curves than me. I'm a little bit of a big girl, but just like her look and just like her presence, I really, really love. So I could see her. I don't know. Who would you think?
I don't know. I mean, because like the way you describe it is like you, so it would have to be
The girl from Grownish. I could see her being Soraya.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her.
What's her name? So you're talking about like the main character that came from...
That came from Blackish.
Yeah.
I can't think of what her name is in there. Or her name or her life is. I can't think. I'm picturing her face though. Oh, but speaking of that show, Trevor Jackson.
Yeah.
Without the rat tail. I fucking hate that. Cut it off. Good. That it always annoyed me in the show and real life. Like it just pissed me off. So yeah.
So he's like you're saying him for?
No, I'm just gonna like him.
Oh,
I'm just saying
okay.
hot. That's it.
Soundtrack.
Ooh, MGK.
Like, so it doesn't. It can be an existing song, or just who would you want to make your song?
There's a certain part in the book where I would think the breakup would be kind of a good song to put in there, but like as long as I have at least 1 or 2 MGK songs on it, I would be great. And then since it's kind of an action kind of book, like I don't know, I'm really into like a lot of like I got a little bit of everything, but like I don't know, rap is kind of where my heart is, so maybe like a little Megan Thee Stallion track. Not City Girl though. I love City Girl, but you know they ratchet. Megan, you know, she has a little bit of a less ratchet sound for some of her songs anyway, so I feel like she might be able to do some. But you know, I love me some City Girls, but ain't nobody throwing it back in the book. So, but something like that. But like definitely Machine Gun Kelly. Like I love him. I love him so much. And he's with Megan Fox. Woo. It's a smoke show right there.
Anybody else?
Chloe and Halle. I don't know.
So MGK, Megan Thee Stallion, Chloe Halle.
And also, I do love, if Paramore could write a song, I don't even care if it's on the soundtrack, I just love Paramore, like all their songs are gold, but yeah, even if it's just Haley, I feel like they could be on the soundtrack. There's someone else that I'm thinking of, Jack Harlow. Ooh, and Lil Nas X. I love him, so yeah.
Okay, so MGK, Megan Thee Stallion, Chloe Halle, Paramore, Jack Harlow, and Lil Nas.
And if Weezy want to throw a verse in there anywhere, just let me know.
Just throw one in there. What setting is it? Like what time, place?
So it is not like, there's not a certain time period per se, because it's not like taking place like in like our world. It's completely separate on its own. And like where they are, there aren't like there aren't cars, nothing like that, but they're not like unsophisticated, like they're not like out in caves, anything like that, but they just, you know, they're separate from the humans in that aspect.
So it's not like the 21st century, but it's not like 1800.
Yeah. So like they, just because since they're magic, they don't really have a use for cars. The witches can create portals, and the vampires and the shifters can just run really fast wherever they need to go. So
yeah, there's
no point in them having vehicles like that.
So can you kind of tell which paranormal ones are in your book?
Yeah, so there are vampires, there are witches, and then there's shifters. And the shifters are split up between, well, not split up, but like there's werewolves. They're part of the shifters. There's were-coyotes, were-foxes, were-owls, mouse, like different creatures like that. And then they're not as big necessarily in this book, but there are, you know, the goddesses are there, but there's also like, you know, there's fairies and like other like smaller creatures who not really playing a big role in there, but they are mentioned. But it's only like those are the 3 big factions, and actually part of the issue within the book is a little bit of a trouble between some of the shifters that started way before Soraya's time.
Okay, so you kind of have like a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it was important to me to have those ones. Those are my favorite kind of books. Were Vampires and Werewolves, Team Jacob, to be in the books, and like I love Fae. That's why I love A Court of Thorn and Roses. Angel, all that kind of stuff. Like one series that I really love is the Fallen series by Lauren Kate. It's like a twist on like the story about Lucifer and his fall. So good. So stuff like that. So, but yeah.
Okay. Now, this is just a couple questions about yourself. What is your theme song?
My theme song of my life? It would be a tie between.
Well, it's not just of your life. It's like when you walk in a room. That's
oh yeah, I got you.
So that's just everyday life.
Yeah. It'd either be Big Gangster by Kevin Gates or Bitch from the South from Mulatto.
Okay.
I'm not rich yet, but I will be. So that song it'll make sense later in life.
So every time you walk in,
yeah,
it's like in here.
I literally was thinking about that on the drive here. It was like what my song would be, and it was those 2 songs.
And if your life was a movie, who would you want to play?
Who would I want to play me?
Yeah, well, not just you, but like your family. So you, like your mom, dad.
I'd be Beyonce. Just put that out there. I mean, she's taller than I am.
So you can't really act though.
Ooh, shots fired. I like your acting, Beyonce.
Sorry, Beehive.
Ooh, you know them they gonna come for you. Ooh, you gonna come on Instagram tomorrow and you gonna have nothing but bees in your thing. I like Beyonce. I thought she was a great actress. But no, for real. Like I said, she plays Zoe in Grownish. I can't think of what her actual name is. I could look it up, but I don't know where my phone is at the moment.
Talk about the same girl.
Yeah. So I think I would want her to play me. You, I don't know. I'm trying to think, and that's kind of like the issue that I have with a lot of media. Like we don't have a lot of representation for us.
I will say, what's her name? I know. You know the girl from Hunger Games?
Katniss?
No, the little girl.
Rue?
Yeah, everyone's a little quicker.
Oh yeah. Okay. And then so my boyfriend Francis, if I want someone to play him, it'd definitely be Winston Duke or Michael B. Jordan, but he's not light skinned, so Winston Duke will have to be him. He gonna kill me if he ever see this. But yeah, Devin would probably be like, I don't know. I would say Ryan Destiny, but like
I can see that.
I don't really see Ryan Destiny being as. Never mind. I love my sister. Jordan, I could see Jordan being either probably I see Jordan being more so Chloe, out of Chloe and Hallie. Jordan's my younger sister. I don't know. I'd have to really sit down and think about who would play who.
Okay.
But Grandpa would be Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. What would the name of it be?
Of my life, I don't know. Greatness, because
That's it. Greatness.
yeah. I don't know, but I feel like that would be great because I'm great. The story would be great. I don't want to be a Lifetime movie though, because that means like something true tragic happened. And I get murdered. I'm at the book signing, like a fan, like you killed off this person, like shoot me or something. I don't want that to happen. Oh, I don't want a surviving Arricka either. Like, whew.
Surviving him.
Yeah, you know, he'd be like surviving R. Kelly. Like, I don't want one of those either. Like, I
hope not.
didn't meet to anyone.
I hope.
I'm out here Bill Cosby and people. Yeah.
Okay.
Just want to put that out there from the start, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not like J.K. Rowling because she is transphobic, which makes me not like Harry Potter as much, but I still love it because fuck that bitch, you know.
Did you close it?
Yes.
All right, so just read, iterate the book.
I got
Yeah,
this.
you know what I'm saying? All right, be bad.
Okay. Now, before we go, do you want to give out your socials where they can find you for your book?
Yeah, so you can find my Instagram it's Arricka_writes on Instagram and on Facebook.
Wait. Just explain to them how you spell Arricka.
Oh, Arricka, but I'm sure you can like put it up on your screen.
You know, some people still don't be reading.
That's true. So yeah, Arricka_writes on Instagram, and it's Arricka Writes on Facebook, and then my website is www.arrickawrites.com. And from any one of those, you'll get the link to where you can purchase the book. Like I said, you can purchase it on pre-order right now. It does come out on March 4th. It'll be available like midnight March 4th, and it's going to be on Amazon as an ebook and print, and then Barnes & Nobles and Books A Million for print as well.
And do you have pricing?
Yeah, so the ebook is $7.99 and the print is $12.99.
And it comes as the soft cover?
Yep, it's a soft cover for right now. I was thinking about doing a hardcover down the line. I'm even thinking about possibly just doing like a special edition hardcover once all those books are out.
Okay. And before the last thing before we go, please, and I got a lot of feedback from other people who feel the same way. If this becomes a TV show, please don't be one of those people that republishes the book with the character.
Oh, I won't. I hate that. Are you looking for a book and I can't find it 'cause I can't see like it's not the same? No, thank you. Like the Vampire Diaries, like I don't want to see fucking stuff in the book.
Yeah.
So I bought all the originals of those ones. Well, there's 3 more that I didn't know were out that I gotta go buy. But yeah, I'm not gonna change the cover.
I hate that with a passion.
Yeah. So yep.
But thanks for watching. This is Arricka, the author of Inferno. be on the lookout.
In a bookstore near you.
Okay, so I told her to pick a random page and she's gonna read it a little bit to give everybody an insight.
Okay. So, really, Sai? Of course I would never join that merry band of psychopaths. But it was so scary hearing him talk about it. I can tell he really does believe he thinks he's doing the right thing. I did ask him about the reaping moon. I thought if we could narrow down the year it happened, we might be able to find whichever kids were left before they do.
There you go. If you want to hear the rest or read the rest, everything will be linked below.